Hey, friends. Before we dive in, just a quick note. What you're about to hear is a direct continuation of our last episode, Love's Time Machine. That conversation ran deep and long, so we decided to split it into two parts. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend going back and listen to episode 4 from the beginning. Otherwise, settle in. We're picking it up right where we left off.
I had planned on taking a trip to Sedona.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we have to talk about Sedona. Yeah.
I needed to get away, and that was just a few weeks after we saw each other for this time. I went down there with my little puppy, just drove. I love road trips, and I got down there, and Debbie calls me, and she's like, "By the way, Brian's out and about traveling. I wouldn't be surprised if he flew in to see you. He does that stuff all the time." I'm like, "No, he's not." He went like, "No, no, 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 no." I was just trying to be alone in my own world and think, what's my future like? Which direction am I going, Heavenly Father? It was a very spiritual journey that I need to dig deep and figure out what I was doing for the rest of my life. Being in your 50s, this is really scary time to start over. And I was just trusting that he was going to direct my path. And that was just my place to go check out of the world, that nobody could bother me. My kids had me on locator once again, so they knew where mom was all the time. So I'm down there and she calls me and says, he's probably going to come see. I'm like, no, he's not going to do that. Well, he texts me not too long after that and says, "Hey, would you mind if I come and say hi?" I'm like, okay. So he ended up flying into Flagstaff, which is about 30, 40 minutes away. I went and picked him up and I said, "Yeah, you can spend one day with me. We can go hiking for one day." I was like, boundaries, like this was supposed to be for myself. I didn't expect Bryan Drollinger to drop out of the sky. Like, what's happening? So we hiking, it was about 100 degrees
Yep.
and he hates heat, hates it, but he did not complain once that day going hiking with me in 100-degree weather, did you?
No.
No, it was
It
instead.
was really, but it was really like cute. The whole thing, like, I mean, I say cute, but it's like we get to where she fixed.
Innocent. It was
Is
innocent.
that
It was
very
innocent.
innocent, like very there was no kissing, there was no
No,
nothing.
there
It was
wasn't any
but was in
physical
but
attraction, like,
there what it
actually.
was
It
it was
was just,
actually more like that spiritual.
you're my best friend
Yeah,
that I've lost,
yeah,
and I didn't, and I'm, like, home with you.
yeah.
It's
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 really
like comforting. It's like
yeah.
your soul is like, "This is familiar."
So she picks me up from the airport. We go to hike, yeah, Bell Rock, and we're going on this hike. And I said to her, I said, "Do friends hold hands?" And she goes, "Yeah, friends hold hands." So we held hands the whole day.
At 100
I mean, that
degrees.
was like 100-degree weather. But that's what I mean. But that's the innocence. Like, it wasn't anything other than
No,
that.
and then we found some shade and we went and sat down, and this is where all the dumping happened.
Oh yeah, yeah.
From clear back to
All the way back,
1985 to present day, like, he would bring up
all the
something,
miscommunication.
and then we finally,
Just
like, it
talking
took
about it all.
over 30 years from that time where I called him and said, "Come to the next dance. I wanna tell you how I feel about you," and he brought that girl with him. It was that conversation, and I finally got to tell him when we
It was a
got back
coming to Jesus moment.
that, well,
Actually, well, that was the other part where I kissed the girl in the car next to her.
he was telling me, he goes, "Yeah, I was kinda concerned when I saw you the first time, you had all that makeup on, because it reminded me of a time when I was a teenager and I dated this girl and the lights came on and all this makeup," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know who that was." He was like, "What? How do you know her?" I'm like, "I introduced you
And
to her."
that
And so
that's but but that's kind of it's kind of funny though, because I didn't remember all the things and she remembers all the things, and she has them written down too. And then she mentioned other people's names that were there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that really did happen.
And honestly, I didn't think about that moment at all these
Like,
years,
uh,
until he brought that. I'm like, "Oh, we finally get to talk about
get to talk
this."
about this.
So he opened the door for that. But what was interesting is that whole day and that evening, we went to dinner and we were sitting outside in this little swing.
Yeah.
And I finally got to say, "Brian, I said it. I was like, I think I've always loved you. And I just didn't know it till now." And that's why it was so sad for me that I couldn't find you. My soul was looking for you.
Yeah.
It just couldn't find you, and we just couldn't connect until now. So now we have cell phones, we have emails,
There's no more miscommunication.
and we
You can
have a
just
group
text you
It's
content.
overload now. Overload.
we have a group chat with
Yeah.
Debbie and Jerry. So the 4 of us, we can always communicate. We're not gonna lose each other, not any of us.
Yeah.
So that was a very special time, and then he ended up, leaving and going back to Idaho, and I was there with my little puppy and just was, like, taking it all in. There was another shooting star. I couldn't sleep. I was out on that little swing he had just left me in, and another shooting star, and I'm just listening to Stevie Nicks the whole time. The desert song comes on, and it sings about I was born in the desert. I was born in Arizona, and then my castle's falling down, which my castle was burning down, was my marriage and my house. And, that old life it was just so symbolic, and it just gives me goosebumps. So all the little signs, and that's just a little bit of it. It's not the whole story. And then when we did reconnect, that same time that after I got phone with Debbie that night, going back to Pocatello after I'd seen you at the fair, I called my parents and I'm like, I need to come see you. Oh my gosh. Do you guys remember Bryan Drollinger? Do you remember what Patriarch Grover said? Do you remember? My mom's like, yes, yes. She's like, what's happening? And so I went and saw them,
Well, you know,
I was like, what's happening to me right now? I'm like,
You're like, I'm in a
What's that?
movie that's playing around me, and it's like all the pieces are fitting
All the
together. And yeah.
But it was kind of funny though, because when I got to meet her kids, you get to meet my kids, all the things. This whole story of this kid that she liked that drove off a cliff and died in a fiery car crash, like her family, like some of her
My sister.
siblings, their sister, and her daughter,
my brother.
they all knew about this guy that left.
Summer remembered
That-
you because she's just 4 years younger than me
That's
in high school. And
True.
my brother remembered you
Parent-
too.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, because I don't remember everything. I remember some parts, but just like having that, they knew like about this too. It was like, oh,
Like,
okay.
it's almost like returning home again.
Yeah, it's like,
But
oh,
you're
yeah.
completely like,
Yeah.
and you're in different places, and you have kids, and
Yeah.
there's all these
Like a whole-
experiences, but it's like that place that you really never left.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
his mom, I remember being at Brian's house once, and he had the big screen TV, and he was babysitting. Debbie and I were playing some sports or something, and we got done, and Jerry was there with Debbie and says, hey, let's go over to Brian's house. Let's walk over there. He's babysitting. His mom's not home. So we know why Jerry wanted to go there. He wanted to make out with Debbie. And so
Yeah.
we walked up to Brian's house, and we watched Police Academy
Please can't.
on a VHS, and it was at that time, it was the Super Bowl Shuffle. Do you remember that? Chicago Bears. I just remember that. And but anyway, Brian was babysitting. We were all sitting on the love seat, all four of us squished together, watching Police Academy while his siblings were running around. His mom came home, and she had this beautiful coat on, and she was all dressed to the nines. She was this very glamorous woman, and she walked around, and she just stopped when she saw all of us sitting on the couch, like she just froze. And Jerry's over here like, well, we should probably go now. And so we're like, okay, it was just really awkward. And that was the only interaction I had with Cindy. And then when Brian and I reconnected, her cancer had come back, and we got to go back, and they were living in Arizona. Your
Yeah.
parents were at the
Yep.
time in Mesa, close to the area that I was born. And so we got to reconnect a little bit there. And then when we realized we were going to be together, and pretty much everybody knew it,
Yeah.
it was obvious. And his dad had asked us if we would please, when we got married, to not run away, to just get married so that he and Cindy could be there. And so we made the arrangement to get married. And we thought about Sedona, but it was a little too far for Cindy to travel. And so we secured a venue in Gilbert, the Villa Sienna. It was beautiful. And just a few weeks before we were to get married, she sadly passed away. And she knew she was going. And she said, if I'm not there in body, I'll be there in spirit. And so
Yeah.
it was a beautiful ceremony. She loved Elvis. She died on his birthday. Oh, it was Death's Day.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I knew it was something.
Yep.
So thank you. So we had Elvis, in the background of our wedding,
I love it.
just to honor her, Yeah. It was just like, it just came full circle. And while we were making our wedding arrangements, I sent my parents the address so they could fly from Utah to Arizona to our wedding. My mom calls me, and she's like, Jennie, she goes, okay, here's another crazy God wink. We used to say, this is weird, because the coincidences kept happening. We're like, oh, this is so weird.
Yeah.
And my mom just said, quit saying it's weird, call it divine. And she's like, Jennie, she's like, you're not going to believe this. She said, the church you were christened at as a baby was just down this road, is on the same road that you're getting married at. I would have never known that.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, you are marrying Bryan Drollinger on the same road that you were christened at as an infant, and all the way from Alaska back to Arizona. How could that have ever, is just crazy. It's just another thing. It gives me goosebumps again. It's just all these little God winks that just of affirmations that, like, there's no one in the world that could have set us up and done this other than God.
Mm.
He knew Brian's heart and he knew my heart and what we were struggling with in our prior relationships and what we learned and now how much we appreciate each other.
Mhm.
I think we would have not had that part of our relationship had we actually met up when we were going to or tried to, except for now. And so
Probably true. Yeah.
it's just a lot. There's just a
Well,
lot.
yeah.
And
A
we're
lot.
not gonna be able to cover all of it. Brian,
No.
can you get the cover down? Because the book cover that's on the shelf behind you.
Where's it? Oh,
Yeah. Because we gotta show the cover. Now that they've stuck around, heard the story, talk about the symbolism in the cover that our designer Rosanna just did. And
It's so beautiful and it's so amazing. I cannot even believe it just made me cry when I saw this.
go like this.
okay, so we see that it's Alaska, and we see the young couple. Their backs are kind of towards each other because
Yep.
conflict, it's misunderstanding, and it's also just being dumb, just kids being dumb. But if
I
you
was an idiot. Yes.
turn the cover over, turn the cover over, that's Sedona. And that's all those years later, and they're finally
Hands.
able to connect and share their hearts and all
And we're turned into each other.
Mm-hmm.
turned into each other. Yeah,
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful job. It's just gorgeous.
yeah. But I love, Jenny, that you'll be telling more of all the little bits and pieces because, like,
There's
we would need another 2
there's
hours.
quite a bit.
As
Yeah, a
as you
lot more.
continue to interview people, I know you're gonna be weaving more of your story in there, but I just love that it's so clear. Like, again, when I first talked to you, it's like the script was written and you guys were like playing it out with your lives. The scene, on the day that you're meeting up, the phone gets disconnected. Like, that's what happens in movies. You're like, oh, that's so made up because those things don't happen in real life. Well,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, they do.
It's
So,
not.
and the day that you have your photo shoot with all the makeup,
I cannot believe that.
And
Yeah.
honestly, the fact that she was a paralegal in Idaho when I was going through my struggles, and she had moved back from Utah to Idaho, and I had no clue. And
Yeah.
that just the all little
Because
things.
he wouldn't have called me
No.
if I worked at the law firm in Utah because he was in Idaho and that was out of jurisdiction. So it was just all the little
Just
things that God was just lining up. And before any of this really happened, Tears for Fears, like Shout or Aha, Take on Me, or Madonna, Crazy for You. That was the first slow dance we danced to. Don't You Forget About Me, Simple Minds, The Breakfast Club. Oh, The Power of Love, Huey Lewis in the News. That was a big one. And Back to the Future, we saw that. And
all in 85.
I would think about him and I would just have to shut it down in my mind. So it was just happening. Like it would come on my playlist one right after the other. I look back now, it was just like the thoughts of Brian were coming into my mind. Before I met Jerry and Debbie for that 3-hour lunch where Jerry talked the whole time about Brian. So I think it was God preparing me because I was working on myself and really reaching out to him and like crying, like on my way to work and asking him, what's my purpose? Where am I supposed to be? I don't belong here. What am I doing here? And in time, he just leads you down that path. And as you look back, you can see where he had his hand in your life. He was preparing you for something else that you didn't know. This is surreal, Trisha. I'm so grateful that you wrote our novel. You were meant to. You're an 80s girl.
Yep.
You know the vibe. So perfect 80s rom-com. And it's been so fun to work with you. And I'm looking forward to doing more and get
I
this
love,
book
and
out there.
we'll just end it with this because second chances, just where you were, Jenny, and just where Brian was, there's people that think like there's no hope. Like
Exactly.
I will never be happy again.
Yep.
This is over. Like everything that I thought my life was going to be is not. And I know that's your really hope. So talk for that a little bit, whether it is your faith, whether it is a relationship, whether it is relations with your kids or parents. Like there's people out there that want a second chance. So just share your heart for just a minute about your desire for this podcast and just giving people hope.
I didn't have a lot and I didn't know what I was doing. And I knew I wasn't in the spot where I could stay. It was kind of a dark spot, but the only light in my life I knew was trusting God, because it's hard to put your trust in someone, a human. And I have to say, God is God and he's there for all of us. He's there no matter what. We're the ones that have to reach out to him and he will answer you. He's there, but you have to make that first step. So trusting him first, and then everything will fall into place. And I just want others to know that if you are in a dark spot and you think it's hopeless, turn to him and he will lead you down the road and the path you're supposed to be at. It's a miracle that we're together and there is no explanation. It's not our friends that got us together. It was God. They were tools. He used them as tools, and it's been divine. And if you have that foundation and trust in him and pray, and you're doing everything you can do, he will pick up the difference no matter what. And I just want to bring hope and inspiration to others, because if it's going to happen to our story, how crazy is all of this that we're together? It's just a miracle. And so if we are together and we can, help other people, I honestly have to say, I'll just leave it at this. I'm very uncomfortable getting this out there, but I feel like it's so powerful and important. I'd rather be in a corner and be left alone. But like every time we talk about our story, when we're traveling, a lady at the baggage claim, she'd come over, she gave me a hug. She says, "Thanks for sharing your story. I have hope now. My husband died 15 years ago, but I think I'm ready to go out there and find my special someone again, share the rest of my life with." So that's what we want to try and do. So if anybody's interested in sharing your story, you can go to secondchanceonlove.com and be part of this community that we can support each other and help other people that are in a dark spot.
And I feel like that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing this, is because we go through these struggles, we go through all this stuff. And I remember a few months of just feeling like the lowest of low. I'm usually pretty upbeat and always positive. I hate negativity. I'm not like that kind of person, but I was so in the bottom of the barrel,
Depths of despair.
Depths, yeah. And I think we go through these things so we can help others.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, why this is happening, because it's going to help those that are listening, and they're going to get hope again. And okay, if it can happen to them, it can happen to me. And that's the kind of hope I think we hope to give to others. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really why this is being done.
I love it. Okay, one last thing I want to talk about, because again, everywhere people I want to hear your story, and then you start telling your story, we're like, what? That's you guys heard about this contest too, about, and it's obvious that a lot of people were inspired. So just briefly share about that. Because and it would have been enough with the book and with the podcast, but this other thing, it's it is people really connected with your story and the hope that you guys offer.
Well, I think, and the thing about the competition is we already had you were already writing the book, mm-hmm. and we already had a movie script. All the things were already in play. We were already doing this. And then all of a sudden this came about.
I had friends that messaged me, and Jeanette, hello, Jeanette. She was like, "You guys need to do this. Your story will win." I'm like, "I don't do those things. This is a racket." And a little more time went by, and then other people were sharing it. And so I go back and I clicked on the link. It was Jeff and Emily Goldblum. We're looking for the ultimate love story, and you can compete. And then and I was like, "Oh, maybe we should do this." So I submitted our story. And I called Brian and said, "Guess what I did? I entered this." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know if we should do this. I don't know if we should do this. With that book and the script writers. Oh, no, you should do it." So in between that time, I deleted all of the information that I'd spent 2 hours.
And it was the last day. It was the last day.
It was the last week. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "No, you should do it." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So I redid it again on that Sunday night and sent it all in. I'd even emailed Colossal and said, "Would you please withdraw us from competition? I don't think we're going to do it."
I didn't know that part.
Yes, I did. And they emailed me back and they said, "Oh, we're so disappointed and so sad." And then I replied back, it's like, "No, just kidding. We're going to do it. My husband said it's okay." So we entered it. And the reason I wanted to enter this, it was not to win. I had no intention of winning. This was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to join a community of love stories and hear other people's love stories so that we can be a community. And that's the only reason I did it. I did not know we were going to win. Everybody around us is like, oh, you guys are going to win. You're going to win. I'm like, no. And so then we did win. So
And there was
210,000 couples.
And you guys won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you to all our friends and family that believed in our story. It's crazy.
Yep. And all the donations that came in for the 2 great causes for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You raised money for
the LA Regional Food Bank and Oceana. LA Regional Food Bank, I did not know this until we were in this competition, that 90% of the food goes to housed families that can't afford to pay their mortgage, car payment, and buy food for their family. They have to make choices. So that was a very influential thing to meet Jeff Goldblum. And he's just like he is in the movies. He was just like, and then Ted Danson and his wife, Mary, and they were just so delightful. And when Ted Danson shook my hand, I was like Sam Malone from Cheers. Sam, you'll always be Sam to me, but anyway, it's been a blessing. And we've got to know the other couples that we're competing against. They're just, they're just wonderful. It was just wonderful to get to know each other. We started out as competitors and now we're friends. So.
And I love that it's just a confirmation that people want to hear about second chances. They want to hear that glimmer of hope. So I love it.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys.
Well, thank you so much,
I cannot
Trisha.
wait, Jennie, as you continue this, as you connect with people and hear their stories. I just know, and more, all those little other details of your story will probably be woven into.
There's still quite a bit more.
Yeah, and we can play it forward and keep this going. Hey, friends. So here we are at the end of this special 5-part journey. And if something in this series made you smile, laugh, gave you goosebumps, or brought back a memory of a certain someone from your own high school days, well, you're not alone. Thank you for being here, for listening with your heart, for joining us in a story that wasn't just about romance, but about timing, trust, healing, and all the mysterious ways that life brings things full circle. Let's be honest, this isn't your typical rom-com, unlike John Cusack. No boomboxes held overhead, no rain-soaked declarations, just 2 people with some trail dust, divine nudges, and one epic, I think I've always loved you in the Arizona desert. We know that not every story ends like this, but we also know from the messages that you've sent us, these kinds of stories happen more often than we think, which is why we're inviting you to be part of something bigger. This podcast is just the beginning. We're building a community of second chance stories, lost loves, rediscovered, spiritual awakenings, and everyday reminders that hope is never wasted. If you've ever had a moment of what if you've reconnected with someone from your past, or simply believe in divine timing, we want your story. Share it, celebrate it, and together let's inspire others to believe that love in all its messy, beautiful forms can show up when we least expect it. And if you did date your high school crush, wrote heartfelt notes on notebook paper, maybe even shared a slow dance to a power ballad, well, you're going to love this next part. Our book is called As Sure as the Stars, the sweetheart romance that really happened. It started with a boy. It was 1985, neon scrunchies, jelly shoes, hoop earrings, Guess jeans, and purple eyeshadow. I was a high school girl in Alaska, and Brian was the boy who made my heart race. We flirted, we dated, we graduated, we lost touch. And then decades later, life brought us back together. On September 7th, 2022, I married that same boy. This book, co-written with best-selling author Trisha Goyer, is inspired by our very real second chance. It's nostalgic, sweet, full of 80s charm, lip smackers and all. Grab your copy and connect with us at secondchanceonlove.com. You'll find more stories, more love, and a place to add your own voice to the growing chorus. Before we go, I want to thank someone whose heart is woven into every moment of this show, my husband, Brian. You've heard his song, It's Love, throughout this series. He wrote it together with his brother, Andrew, for his mother, Cindy, while she was breathing her last breaths on this earth. Brian's sister, Doris, and his niece, Ruby, sang backup in the background. And thank you so much to Michael Givens for producing it. Brian sang at her funeral just days before we were married. That song isn't just magic, it's the heartbeat of this story. While Cindy was on her deathbed, she encouraged Brian to return to his passion for music. This was truly her wish. As we continue this podcast, we want to honor her memory and include her spirit in all that we do moving forward.
So thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for listening, for sharing, and for believing. Let's keep this community growing. Let's remind the world together that second chances are real. Love still surprises us, and sometimes the stars really do align. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and as always, stay listening.
And it's love that gets me